Check. Okay. Welcome everybody in Zoom Streamland and here in the room. My name is Bruce Moore, and I have a presentation for you, which I'm calling Coco Together. Play on Coco forever. So, as I got on the slide here, while we can Coco alone, it's usually better if we Coco together. And this has been the experience, this has been my experience as a kid growing up with the Coco. While it was fun to play on it, program it on my own, it's always way better to do this along with other people. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of the history of that leading up to the release. Well, it's not a release, but I guess a working demo of my latest project. So back in the day when I was probably 12, my friend Dean says, Bruce, come on down to the library. These guys are showing up with these actual computers. They set them up and they let us use them. This was mind-blowing to me. I had to go and check this out. It was these kind of computers, so it's a little pre-Coco, right? I think there were 3 guys who brought these down. And while it was a little bit buggy when I got there, someone had a game that they were either typing in or I don't know what they were doing, but it looked something like this. So that's a map, and the user could navigate around on it and travel and explore. But while it almost immediately crashed, to my consternation, the seed was planted in my brain, the possibility of creating a fantasy world that you could explore. And that fit right in with my other recent discoveries, being Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings. So that was not my only visit to that computer club. I was hooked and I joined, of course. And then sorry, Mikey, break out the speakers. Because of being a community computer club, we had space in the library. We would take our turns typing in the programs, saving them on our personal cassettes. It was really handy being in the library in particular because they had multiple subscriptions. We could walk upstairs, we didn't have to sign them out, and we could type in all the programs we wanted. We had at least these, and I think there were some others as well. So it went something like this. This is my little friend Joey, having a chat with his Coco. So if I type in this stuff, I'll have a game? Yeah, but watch out for syntax errors. Okay. So I put in a tape, press play and record. Yep, then type C save. And then, what's an IO error? I hope you still have that program listed. Now, I hope none of you have done this. I think I may have done this. My memory's a little foggy. I'm pretty sure I took one of my parents' cassette tapes I didn't think they needed and recorded over it. Yeah. So one day I come down to the library and there's this fellow typing in a program that got me really excited, and it looked something like this. And I thought, this looks like Dungeons and Dragons on a Coco. Sadly, it wasn't. It was only a helper program for generating wandering monsters when playing D&D. Oh well, but it did inspire me at the age of 14 to start this. Forest of Doom. I was able to submit this as my final project for my grade 9 computer programming course. This is how it looked originally and sounded originally. I thought I was doing all right for a 14-year-old. Yeah. I never really finished it. I just kind of went on to other things. One of the reasons I didn't finish it, though, is because my buddy Glenn down the street got his own Coco just at the end of the block. This is his gear right here. Look at all this stuff. He had everything, absolutely everything, even the toilet paper printer there. We also did some other shenanigans. We created our fictitious radio station using this cassette recorder. We called an imaginary baseball game between the Chicago Cubs and the San Diego Padres. Really funny that I'm in the Chicago area now. It sounded a little bit like this. Yeah, okay, well, inspired by color baseball, obviously. So this is one of the games we really love to play in tandem because it required 2 joysticks. One of us would do the running, the other guy did the aiming and the shooting. As awesome as Berserk is, we decided we wanted to make it a little more epic. We thought it needed a soundtrack. And just so happened that Glenn also had a record player in his room. So we put on a record that seemed appropriate. Now the game went from being fun to something heroic and absolutely epic. We always had this on when we played Berserk. This put another idea in my brain. Now, like many of you, this then happened.
The Color Computer 2, sale price for Christmas, only at Radio Shack.
Christmas time, we got our own Coco. And then I was off and running with my own programming. I didn't have to go down to the library every time. Yeah, that's me. That was long. I'm not much older than Jacob there. So I managed to whip together some games and even sold a couple of them to T&D Software. Put that money back into learning the mysteries of assembly language, or at least trying to. I say trying to because, well, with my newly acquired machine language knowledge, I set about to write the epic game, drawing on elements of Force of Doom and adventure games. I wanted to have a huge persistent map on an open world with a blockbuster storyline. Sadly, it overwhelmed me. I couldn't pull it off. I kept getting these strange errors, and eventually I gave up. I was defeated by Bane, whatever that was. However, the Coco did begin to integrate with my other passion, music, and this is Lyra, and I used it for writing and arranging music, and for some of my courses at university. I actually used the Coco in a live performance once, where I had the Coco playing the bass line on a MIDI controller. Okay, now for the history. We'll fast forward here. Over the last 35 years go by. I spent about a decade working as a programmer analyst, and I've been working in music and audio production all the way along here. We'll get to 2016. So 2016, my brother's on the East Coast. He finds a Coco 2 in an obscure shop for $50. He says, "You want me to get it for you?" And I said, "Please," especially because he's the one who actually wrecked our original Coco 2. I came home one Christmas from college. He was in his closet in Parks. He said, "It stopped working. I thought I'd open and see if I could fix it." It was gone. So we set it up and we showed our kids the old games we used to play. And I dug up my old cassettes and I found a working copy of Force of Doom. So you remember this idea about having a soundtrack on Berserk. Well, now I have much more programming acumen than when I failed, and I thought, could I add a simultaneous soundtrack to Force of Doom? Well, I didn't want to fail again, and so it was time to bring in some significant technical help.
Simon Jonathan.
Simon Jonathan, this guy is such a mentor and teacher in the Coco community. I know many of us have benefited from his help. So Simon got me a player that would run on a Coco 2. I think it was a 2-voice player. And we tried it out, but sadly, because I wanted to keep Force of Doom to run on even a Coco 1, it didn't have the CPU power to be able to run that simultaneous soundtrack and for the game to not drag to a halt. However, Simon's SG Edit web app did allow me to add semi-graphics, and that took took my Force to Doom game up to a new level. So this is, of course, the graph paper at the back of the color basic book. Mapped it all out, and I started getting some good look at this graphics. Oh, Jacob, please model. Here we are. Force to Doom shirt. There we go. Available online. I'll tell you about that later. So I compromised, and instead I made a Mp3 soundtrack. So you get the game, and you supposedly put it, if you wanted to, you could put this on, have it play in the background. If you waited long enough, there's a guy who screams at the very end. So let's just add some mood music. Okay, so 2017 CoCoFEST. Time to unveil a working demo. I was so excited to have a working demo, 35 years in the making, to show to other Coco enthusiasts. And I wanted to create a book like the Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual, full of illustrations, backstory, tips and tricks to make Force to Doom feel like a true role-playing game. I don't think this has been done before, but by only printing the download link in the physical book, seemed to create some nostalgia for some folks, like Paul Fiscarelli here, who remember saying, so there's no download link for it? I have to wait for it to actually come in the mail? So, yeah. Whoa! He was excited about that. Oh, that was a duplicate slide. Okay, moving along. This is a little look on the inside here. So about 40 pages. Here's some of the artwork. Glenn Hewlett loved it. He called it your game is torture, but in a good way. And Jason Rygaard, wow, he hadn't had that much fun with Coco in years. So I think this goes to show that a game doesn't have to be super fancy to capture the imagination, but maybe that's obvious. We're all working with a 40-year-old 8-bit computer here, so I think we all have to have some sort of good imagination to be here and doing this. I also ran a contest. For the first person to complete the game, they would get this one-of-a-kind mug. Contest is over. Paul Fiscarelli got it. In fact, I think a number of people ordered the book at the same time, but he got it 4 days early, just before a weekend, and finished the game before anybody else got a chance to. So I had to run it again. Is Jason here?
He just stepped out.
Yeah.
He cheated.
Jason
did not cheat.
Jason did not cheat.
I did
He saw
not
it on live stream. It was real.
I did not cheat.
So there are actually two mugs over. They're not exactly the same. I have a few copies available here if you want to pick one up. Okay, so fully engaged in the international Coco community, my mind wanders back to GMBM radio. Yeah, and I thought, how about a radio drama about the Coco? Yes, and I proceeded with Coco Forever.
What if you could go back in time to just the right moment and ensure that Tandy won?
You definitely earned this office. Thank you. Yes, you're too kind.
Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff. Life has been a dream.
But what if you went back to the wrong moment?
So Coco Forever is the length of a feature motion picture, episodes 0 through 9, not 1 through 10, featuring voice talent of many like Rick Adams, Neil Blanchard, Jason Rygaard, Grant Leedy, David Ladd, Stevie Strobridge, Curtis Boyle, and a whole lot of Moors. It's based on the sort of the Back to the Future idea, right? You go back, accidentally, something changes, you got to fix it, and maybe it turns out better in the end. So this would be on a typical episode. You would get this little README file, and it says, let's do everything in order. Listen to the MP3, then open the PDF, then run the little program. So it's a multimedia experience. Here's one of the alternate universe Rainbow magazine covers. This is from '83, where the Coco Cube was announced, running the ease of use operating system. 6309, 68,000 co-processor, sprites, and a sound chip. If only it was true. This is the little program that came with episode 1. So it sort of just advanced the story with some graphics. And there may have been some audio in there too, and some cute little animations. Oh, now here's the sad part. I tried to bring these across the border to sell, and no, they said, no, you can't do that, and we'll let you leave them here, and you can pick them up on the way back. I'm being really nice to you because I could have just sent you home. Okay, thank you, sir. We'll figure out what to do with that later. Okay, so Coco Forever's done. I'm thinking, now what? Now what do I do? I've sold 96, I never imagined this would happen, but 96 copies of Forest to Do. If I can sell 4 more this weekend, I get to 100. You can help me out with that. I think, I'm not sure the exact count, but I think there's been over 50 copies of Coco Forever. Well, what do I do now? I got thinking back to this thing, that epic D&D style adventure that had open world, huge persistent map, narrative and problem-solving adventure games, and a soundtrack. My vision for this game overwhelmed my technical ability. I've realized in recent years that I'm not really a technician with a creative bent, as I used to think. I'm actually a creative person with a technical bent. This realization has given me permission to draw on the technical skills of others to create something that none of us could have done on our own. Okay, so you ready for your first look at Realm of Doom?
For many a year, peace has reigned throughout the realm. In Forest, nothing but ruins of an ancient fortress remain to fuel the myth of the evil wizard. Tales of your ancestors' quest are met with laughter. Mockery follows your warnings, but you know what awaits.
I gotta go.
Here is a look at the action. Huge persistent map. D&D action. Adventure game narrative.
There is magic to be had in the realm for sure, but you can't be no dimwit.
Music, soundtrack, sound effects, and dialogue. But how, you ask? Introducing the Coco Mp3.
Ooh.
Thank you, Stevie. This little piece of hardware here plays MP3s, or WAV files, obviously. You trigger it with the serial port. You route the audio back through the cassette. You know how you type audio on so you can hear the cassettes, right? You route it back through there, so it comes out your Coco. It's got a Coco feel to it. This was designed in collaboration with Jim Brain of Retro Innovations. I think I was ribbing Jim about something or other with something he was working on, and he got a little offended by it and told me so. And I said, "Oh, sorry, man. What, you know?" Then we got talking, and he said, "You know, I really need someone to tell me what they need, and then maybe I can build it for them." I said, "Oh, really? Well, let me tell you my dream thing. My dream thing would be full audio, so I wouldn't have to screw around with sequencers and that sort of thing, and I could just trigger it, play it." And he's like, "Oh, I think I could do that for you." And this is the prototype he came up with here. This might be a good spot to ask if you guys got any questions. Modest, just say, any questions at this point?
Just the observation that's awesome.
Thank you.
What did these available?
What are these? Yeah, okay. It's just a prototype, but it totally works.
Thank you.
internal memory, or I didn't catch if it was like an micro SD or?
Yeah, that's a little, what do you call those little, yeah, micro SD cards, right? So you load that up with your audio. You gotta get, it's finicky. It's finicky, and then you gotta name it all properly and load it on there properly. But once you get the numbering system all sorted out, you can just call it, like you can make a regular MP3 player out of this, whatever you want, right? It's a one-way thing, so you just trigger it. It doesn't actually send any data back. It just sends the audio back. So that simplified the design a fair bit.
Or the MP3, are all the compression ratios supported, or is it?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I know it'll play uncompressed too. So maybe Jim, is Jim here?
That would be the way.
Jim, you on the line? Yeah. Yeah, Jim, okay, Jim, this is the Jim Brain of Retro Innovation. Jim, do you know that answer to that question? Or did you hear it?
I only heard parts of it. Could you repeat it?
Okay, we're just wondering about various, if it does all the compression rates, MP3 compression rates.
I can check the specs on what it is. It's one of those little, you can buy them on eBay. They have like just a little MP3 player. People use it for Arduinos, so I can check the specs and see. But I know it took everything I threw at it.
Right. And the specs were not written in English initially, so there was a lot of frustration to start with. But was there another hand there? No, okay. Okay, we good? Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit. Jacob?
Hi, I'm Jacob. I did the monster design for Realm of Doom. So for Realm of Doom, you have to find an image that might shrink down for the monster art. So for instance, here's the giant rat. And here's what I turned it into. So I try and find an image that would scale to before, and then I can use paint.net to edit it. And some images turn into blobs when you shrink them, so you have to inherit a little bit. And then you hand edit the .bmp file, and then convert it to .bin with David Latt's converter, and use the color code to save it as the right file, and then assign monster attributes. So for the monster attributes, there are a lot more in Realm of Doom than Force of Doom, so we had to make a system of creating monsters. That was a little complicated, but we figured that out. And for instance, we had to make the giant bat weaker than the goblin. So we had to figure all that out.
Any questions for Jacob before he runs away? Converting software? Yeah, David Ladd, he made something up that runs on his, I think his Raspberry Pi, and he's got a URL for it. And you would send your BMP image to it, as long as it was scaled down to 256 by 192. And it would flip it, convert it, and give you a bin file. Sped up development drastically. I'm so grateful for David's help with that. Then I went on, I don't know if you can see that on when I went on to code. Yeah, you can't see that. I went on to code the monster then. So the game still has a basic framework. There were a couple of things I just didn't want to do without. I still wanted the floating point math. There was some string manipulation that I wanted. And just doing it all in machine language was still too scary for me. I gotta be honest, okay? But majority of it is in machine language. Someone's got a call coming in. All right, so wanted to maintain Coco 2 and 3 compatibility, and that meant mapping areas of both ROMs that I could overwrite. So the Unraveled series from the Color Computer Archive was very handy for this, to find out what I could safely get over. And William Astle, he had some good recommendations on what was safe to clobber in the Coco 3. So this isn't using any of the Coco 3 functionality. It's a P-Mode 4. Well, so I think you probably noticed that P-Mode 4, obviously. So Realm of Doom, Coco 2 64K, because we flip it into RAM mode, overwrite some of the ROM stuff, or the Coco 3 runs on the Coco SDC with the Coco Mp3. No, I don't know when it'll be ready. It'll be ready when it's ready. Any questions? Are we good? Because I want to fire it up.
They're gonna have it at your table?
Yeah, it's there. I'm going to fire it up.
All right.
Oh, one more thing. There's another audio option. I'm calling Pi Audio. It's a new feature of Pi DriveWire. It enables those without hardware to run Realm of Doom via emulator. So Python has this play sound command. I'd always had my eye on DriveWire, created by Boise Pete, due to its ability to play MIDI. But when I look over Pi Driver, no MIDI support. Oh, shoot. I don't know where I came across this, but there's this Python module called Play Sound. And I contacted Mikey here and said, hey, what do you think would it be a lot of work to drop that into Pi DriveWire? He says, well, let me look at it. I got a project working. I'll get back to you a little bit and I'll check it out. When he gets back to me, it's like, okay, here it is. I'm like, what? Yeah, it works. Huh? What? No, you can't see the code there too much, but my goodness, he gave me, Mike and I have been burning up the bits between us the last while. Now, unfortunately, I don't have that here to demo. I've just got the MP3, but I guarantee it does work. It's a little bit different in that, like for instance, with the Coco Mp3, if you trigger an audio file, it plays. If you trigger another one, it automatically stops the other one. But with Pi Audio, we discovered it does not do that. It'll just keep stacking them. So last minute, Mikey, we need a stop command. Okay, back and forth, back and forth. And anyway, the stop command works, and then he's got there's all these different versions. You need to have a version for the Becker, for the Coco 1. Well, we're not going to use the Coco 1, the Coco 2 and 3, or if you're using ours, 2-pack. This stuff is all so far beyond me. And honestly, I don't want to try and learn it all. I'll leave it to Mikey here. So at any rate, so this is now in Pi DriveWire. So, I mean, anybody can use this, can develop with this, whether you want to go the hardware route with the Coco Mp3 or go this emulation route or some combination between the two. Any questions on that?
No question, just a comment. Great to see you guys doing it.
But, oh, thank you. Okay, if you got any really technical questions on this, make sure you see Mikey at his Pi DriveWire. Here's Mikey. Stand up, Mikey. Come on. Let everybody see you.
Mikey.
Hey, there you are. He's been so patient with me. He's warned me that that's coming to an end. Very soon it'll be read the manual, Bruce. He's just got to finish writing it. So that's a trick. Okay, so that's it. And we came in under time, and even started a little bit late. And so that's my presentation. Thank you all for coming, and I look forward to. Yes, thank you. And we're just gonna head over to my booth now, Jacob and we're gonna fire it up, and we'll see who's the first person to try it.